Our Free and Equal segment tonight, the House Intelligence Committee votes to release the memo. In other words, to make the classified memo that everybody's been talking about free to the public. This is what we've been waiting for, and interest in the memo has only increased after Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe was removed from his position after FBI Director Christopher Wray viewed the memo himself. All that happened yesterday. What's really strange, though, is that Democrats don't want you to see the memo. Congressman Adam Schiff, the ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, the committee that produced this memo, Schiff, who has been a cheerleader of the Russia investigation, all of a sudden wants to shut down this investigation. So let's take a look at why this memo is so important. With me now to do so, former CIA officer Sam Faddis. Sam, good to see you.
Good to be here, Liz. Thanks.
All right, Sam, some shady business going on in Congress and in some of our intelligence agencies right now. I want to come at this from a couple of different angles, but I want to start out by talking about the Democrats, our elected representatives in the Democratic Party right now. So the House Intelligence Committee voted last night to release this to the public. It goes, before it reaches us, it goes to President Trump first for 5 days. He gets to review it, and then he can choose whether he wants any information redacted, whether he wants to release it, or whether he wants to refuse to release it. But before we even get to that, why did Democrats vote not to release this? Because Congressman Adam Schiff, who is whining about several other things in his version of the memo not being released, he actually voted against releasing this.
Well, I think they have a problem, right? They started a smear campaign against the President of the United States without really any substance. They've been unable to produce substance, and the longer this goes on, the more what is uncovered is to their detriment, the worse it looks for them. So now all of a sudden they don't want to talk about it anymore. They want it to go away.
Right, which seems very strange. At the same time, Congressman Schiff, I want to stick on this for just a second. Congressman Schiff has said that he has written a counter memo to this because the memo that was just voted on, that was the Republican version. It was written by Congressman Devin Nunes, who is a Republican. He was also the chair of the House Intelligence Committee. The Democrats produced a counter memo here, and Adam Schiff is accusing Republicans of being partisan, saying that they will not vote to release this Democratic counter memo. Something's wrong with that narrative, Sam. What is it?
Yeah, well, it's a complete lie. I mean, all that they did in the committee was say that we're going to follow exactly the same procedure for your memo as we did for the original one. So it will be made available to the entire House. We'll get comment. We'll vote on it. We're not simply going to cut through this and go directly to you as an individual releasing a memo. That's all that happened. There's no cover-up at all. No,
and see how easy that is to tell the truth? If only the mainstream media could say it as clearly as that instead of letting Schiff, a partisan Democratic congressman, define the narrative here. So in regards to this counter memo, Speaker of the House Paul Ryan said this morning that this memo was only brought to the attention of the House yesterday. Clearly, that's when it was voted for the members at large to be able to view the Democrats' version of it. Should we see that eventually? Should they vote to release that? And do you expect there to be anything in it?
I don't expect there to be anything in it. I think it's completely partisan. I mean, the whole idea of a memo is it's supposed to be a summary effectively prepared by the committee, regardless of who wrote it in the first place. They all vote on it, which allows them to summarize, if you will, dilute classified information that could not be shared in its entirety, to sort of provide a summary that then becomes unclassified. That's the whole principle. It's not supposed to be every single member gets to write his own memo and release it to the public.
Right, they're not supposed to serve, memos aren't supposed to be dueling op-eds or dueling talking point memos either. All right, I want to show a video here. This is Congressman Ted Yoho from Florida. We had him on the show last week. I asked him, he had viewed the memo, and I asked him whether there was evidence of wrongdoing that was concrete or whether this was just another sort of drip and a drop in a bucket that damages the credibility of the special counsel's investigation. This is what Congressman Yoho had to say. Let me ask you one more specific question here. When we're talking about the process of obtaining a FISA warrant, whether it's the original warrant or the renewal after those 90 days, is there evidence in this memo that shows that those who requested the original FISA warrant misrepresented the justification or the reason, perhaps the dossier, they misrepresented that information to the judge to obtain that warrant?
Trying to answer this without legal counsel. I would say your statements are not inaccurate.
Okay. Interesting. I don't want to get you in trouble here. The American people
I don't want to get in trouble.
No, go ahead.
No, I don't want to get in trouble, and I don't want to overstep and, take away from when this does get released. I want it to have its full impact, and I don't want to jeopardize where it will lead after that. But I won't dispute anything you said.
Sam, that was Congressman Yoho. We talked to Congressman Matt Gaetz, who has also viewed the memo. We talked to him yesterday. He said he wouldn't tell us what type of people's names were in this memo, whether it was elected officials or appointed people in the government, or whether they were career intelligence officials here. He did say that we will recognize the names when they are released. But the question I want to ask you, as someone who has been in this community, someone who served in the CIA for many, many years, when Congressman Yoho talks about this memo having the full impact, once this is released, if the leaks that we have heard are in fact true about the contents of this memo, what will the full impact be?
I think it'll be devastating, because I think what you're going to find out is that some people took a completely unsubstantiated, unsupported series of salacious allegations and then went to get a warrant to use for purely political purposes. Something unprecedented, by the way, in my career. You don't take an unsubstantiated accusation from an unknown player and then go get a warrant. You do your own independent investigation, and when and if you can corroborate it, then you go get a warrant. That's the way it works.
Right, so that's the wrongdoing, but my question here is about accountability, because I feel like so much of the time we do find wrongdoing. You know, one party investigates and finds wrongdoing in another party. They're given a slap on the wrist, or, you know, a verbal reprimand, or God forbid their political career is over and they're forced to resign. But I mean, is there going to be any far-reaching impact? Do you expect any criminal charges? Do you expect widespread resignations from these people? Do you expect, you know, President Trump to clean house? Is there going to be anything, I guess, meatier to this than just the back and forth political, oh, we scored a political point on you?
Well, Liz, look, I'm going to hope so, because we now have a president in the White House that I think will support that action. But I think that is the fundamental question, because the reality is we have seen, just in regard to Hillary Clinton now over the last several years, where there is clear criminal conduct and nothing whatsoever has been done about it. So the American people absolutely ought to be asking those questions. Are we in fact enforcing the law? Is there accountability? Or is it now a matter of we have people that are above the law? Let's find out.
That's my hesitation about the release of this memo. I don't doubt, given what we've heard, these reports, these leaks from people who have read it, that there is some bombshell, some smoking gun evidence in this memo. But my question is, if there is, what are we going to do about it? Because I'm not interested in scoring political points. I'm not interested in using it just as a talking point in the next campaign or the next campaign advertisement on television. I'm interested in accountability and preventing this from happening again. And I think we, the American people, need to focus on that once President Trump does release this. Sam, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.